Okay, everybody, we're back here, and these figures look pretty damn sick, don't they? Holy crap. Yeah, I've had these guys for quite a while now. I've been really wanting to open them, but I've kind of been holding off, making sure I can get a good set of Spider-Man specific action figures to do a sort of themed review slash unboxing, whatever this is. Yeah, I thought these would pair well together. It's kind of my own little thing that I do here on the Windwhirler channel, where we get a handful of figures and we open them up and we kind of mix and match and, you know, pair them and do some comparison with my current figures and see what they look like. And yeah, we have fun. So I think we're going to start off by opening the Sandman. So we're going to get rid of these guys for now. Stick them over here where they weren't going to hurt anyone. Cool. All right. So this is kind of a big deal right here, the Sandman figure, because I've been wanting to complete my OG Sinister Six for some time, and this basically is the final of the six. And yeah, I'm really stoked. I think this is a great version of the character. They did a really good job picking the body mold. I think this is like the Luke Cage, the cinematic universe Luke Cage body mold, which works really well, and I'm glad they give him just regular hands and stuff. And obviously some really dope classic sand pieces, I guess. So, and yeah, he even has like this interchangeable head here. I know there's a bit of controversy between people wanting the gritting teeth to have been the sand head or whatever, but you know what? It is what it is. Like I think these are great head sculpts, and I'm not really gonna complain about it. But yeah, so what do we have here? I'll just give it a quick little read up here. A massive dose of radiation bonds petty criminal William Baker's body to sand, creating a massive threat to Spider-Man. Wow. Cool little read up. I always dig these little action figure arts too, you know, the concept arts that they had for them. I think that's really cool. And obviously like this classic boxing is like so amazing. This is definitely like the golden era for Marvel Legends, at least in my opinion. I'm going to try and get into it. I think the best possible way to get into these packagings without fully damaging it is really just picking at the butt of it here. So just give me a minute here. I'm going to try and crack it open. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, just let's stick that right in there. I'll pop that. Oh man, long time coming. Pop it out. There goes one of the sand maces. Let's shove that back there in the very background. And then here we have the Sandman. Cool. So this already popped out. Interesting. It doesn't seem to have any articulation or anything. So once it goes in, it'll just stick in there, I guess. Which is fine with me. I don't really figure you would be articulating a big sand mace hand. So let's just get through the painful part that everybody loves. Damn. Okay. So he's out of the package. We're getting our first ever impression of this body mold, because I actually never got that original Luke Cage or the Hydra Man that came out not too long ago, which with that Hydra Man, it was a shame he didn't come with regular arms, just like came with the water arms. But maybe they'll redo that figure at some point. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about this guy, and this guy looks really cool. I think they did a great job. Like, oh man, like even the gene texture on this is amazing. Like, if any of you guys ever had any of the figures with this body mold, like you know how impressive they are with making these casual clothes. Like that's one thing that they've really been killing it with lately, is just like the casual clothed characters, you know, the street clothed versions of superheroes. And I'm hoping they're gonna do a little bit more of that, because it's nice for displaying to have, you know, the people that the superheroes are saving, you know, like that's a big deal. And I hope they add all those different, like they fill out the cast members of all the different superheroes. They've been doing really well with Spider-Man, you know, getting JJ and Gwen and Mary Jane. But hopefully we'll get some other characters from other lines, other supporting characters. But yeah, I really dig this. This is great. A lot of like crunching. You can't crunch forward too well, but definitely crunches back, so that's not too bad. And the head is on the nice little ball joint thing, so you can get a little bit of sassiness from the old Sandman. Gotta appreciate a little sassiness. And yeah, these fists are strong fists. I have trouble articulating. You know, when these fresh figures come out, they're always a little bit stiff. But yeah, for the most part, there's a lot of fun factor in this. Like, you know, you can really get some good posings out of this. And the boots look so fine. Like, look at these damn boots. Those are some fine kicks. Huh. All right. Well, let's mess around with some of these effects, I guess. You can consider these effects, I guess, because they're like his powers. So let's just snap to that. All right, checking out this Mace Sand Fist, the one that kind of popped out immediately. It's really fantastic, and I love how these sand arm parts kind of slip right over the sleeveless part of the arm. It's almost very seamless, and then it pops in there nicely. It's not like a pain to like shove it in there, and there's like no fear of the peg busting off. Which, like, some of these legend figures, like, it's really difficult to pull the hands off, and even more difficult to pop them on. And I've broken a few pegs that way. But yeah, this is cool. You got a little bit of rotation too from that, so that actually might be fun to animate if this is like just constantly like spinning like that or something. But yeah, just like a dope side effect. I mean, it's simple and it works really well, and it doesn't mess with like the base form of the figure. So that's very, very cool. Like, there's a lot they can do with just like head and hand swapping on these figures, you know, and they really make use of it. So I'm pretty stoked about that. And I figured I would just demonstrate quick what this looks like. So this is just like a hollow little piece of sand, which I guess you could play around with, you know, maybe it's like on the ground, and you know, he can like suck it up or something into his body. I don't really know. That kind of sounds weird, but maybe that's something he might do. But yeah, just slips right on there. And then you take the Sand Fist, and I guess this one doesn't really have any bend to it, but it will have rotation once it gets on there, and boom, there you go. That looks really cool now. Wow. Fantastic, man, look at that. It looks like the sand is kind of like dripping off of the fist, you know, like his form is very like loose, right? And I think, you know, that Spider-Man movie, the newer one, where they have all the crossovers between the old Spider-Mans, like, they did Sandman real well on that. Like, I like that he made it so that he couldn't he just couldn't not be sand anymore. There was something about his power that just developed, that he's just constantly in the sand state, and he's just getting sand on everything, and there's like nothing you can really do about it. And I know there's an older version of this Sandman that came out. It's a little bigger and buffer, but I from what I understand, like, at least from the Spectacular Spider-Man TV show and some of the comics, like, he does just like gain mass as he goes along, and kind of, I guess he just kind of forgets his original mass and he gets bigger. So that's really cool. Something I kind of wondered too is I originally had like some of the sand attachment pieces, like the fists, like they had like a big stone mallet hand or something. Oh. But yeah, I had one of those pieces originally, and I wonder if it would plug into here if you wanted to have that big stone mallet thing that he had. So if anybody has both of those figures, like, let me know in the comments if that's possible, because it'd be cool to get, if you could find whatever figure those came with, you could have a few extra attachments for your Sandman figure. Cool. Here we have the interchangeable head. It's kind of like this, I guess he's been punched or shot in the head, and now you've got this giant kind of hole sticking out. This looks really, really cool. It's like half his head is messed up, which is very crazy. From the side profile, it looks really rad. From the side, yeah, that looks really fucked. Like, his head is fucking caved in. That looks bad, man. Well, there you go. That looks fairly cool. And yeah, I can imagine him just kind of stoically getting hit and just being like, didn't even faze me. You know, like, doesn't feel pain or anything. Just as a Sandman, you know? That's pretty crazy. I've seen some cool shots where people will pop off Spider-Man's hand and stick the arm through, and it looks like he's just punching right through, which I'm sure that was made for it. And here we have the Sinister Six all assembled. This looks amazing, it looks so cool. As you guys know, if you've been watching my stop motion series, in my last Spider-Man animation, I kind of made it canon in my Marvel Universe story that the Sandman's kind of on the outs with the Sinister Six. He's kind of going his own path. I like the idea of him starting to turn over a new leaf, and he's trying to be a good guy. And so when I do my little short animation, I'm hoping to kind of implement that aspect of it and kind of explain where he's been, why he wasn't a part of that last stop motion. I mean, the true reason was because I just didn't have the figure yet at the time. But, you know, I try to work in those kind of things and just work with what I have, you know, and I thought it was a fun story element, and it does work with what happens to him in the comic book. So, you know, you pull from the source material and you kind of work with what you got. Okay, now we're gonna open up the Hobgoblin. Man, look at this creepazoid. Look at his face in this artwork here. And his face actually on the figure is pretty freaky as well. Oh man. Yeah, so I've got some, you know, a couple anecdotes about this particular figure. Basically, I was really on the fence about getting him originally because I had that original Hobgoblin figure that I used in that Spider-Man animation, which is one that I had since I was like a really little kid, basically. He's actually, the funny thing about him is I used him way back in one of my OG animations from like 2009. So he kind of goes way back, so I sort of had a sentimental attachment to the figure. But then there's also that sort of, that one that came out a little bit more recent, or just before this one did, and it had like the scaling on the arms and legs and like the pointed toes, and used a lot of the same parts that the Green Goblin figure used. So I wanted to get that one originally. I was looking everywhere to try and find that one because I really wanted it, and I passed up on it way back when because I thought I was, you know, pretty satisfied with that other figure, but it had its problems too. It was definitely harder to stand just because those older figures all were a lot more gangly, you know. So but eventually I just kind of decided that I liked the bright, vibrant colors of this figure, and I liked that it was reminiscent of the cartoon from the 90s, and I don't know, I think I just warmed up to it enough, and then saw it on for a decent price, you know, like on sale one day, and I was like, you know what, I think I could use this upgrade. So here we are with the Hobgoblin, so let's just take a quick read of his little bio. Deploying an eerie arsenal of pumpkin bombs and razor-sharp bats from his goblin glider, the criminal mastermind Hobgoblin has Spider-Man constantly on his guard. Yes, sweet. Yeah, this particular, it's in the animated series. It seemed like the green or the Hobgoblin was sort of the main threat that he had throughout the series. You know, and he was almost like, he was always fun. He was a fun like villain to come on the screen because he'd be like making jokes and stuff and cracking wise, which is like usually Spider-Man's the one doing that. So it was cool with him. And the Green Goblin was like not used quite as much, and I figure it's because at the time I think the Hobgoblin was like created more in sort of that era of the 90s, and I think he was the one that they were pushing a lot more too in the comic book. So anyways, enough blistering on. I'm gonna just pop him open the same way we did the Sandman, and we're gonna actually get him in hand and see how it feels. Damn, it's a little tougher than the last one. There we go. Okay, I think that's probably enough to pull it out. Whoa, my set. Okay, so here he is. Oh, the cape feels like a nice pliable material. I'm already enjoying that. He's got some cool accessories, but we'll get to the painful part and we'll continue our discussion. There we go. Popped out. Hopefully that stays there. But now we have him in hand. Okay. There we go. He's a little bit rubbery, which is nice. That's one thing about these newer figures, is they gave a lot more pliable plastic, which, you know, lends itself well to just them lasting, you know, like not having them pop apart. But yeah, this is really nice actually. Like, I think it feels really smooth. It's not incredibly stiff, and you get a lot of head movement here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's good. I'm so glad that this is a separate piece, because every time I saw this figure in store and just having him for so long, it looked like his chin was like way too much in here, but now by the looks of it, you can move this around and pop it right out. Okay, that's so much better. Wow. It's like night and day when you get to see these things out of the package. One thing I heard from like the Hasbro team was that because he doesn't have that scaling effect on these arms, like it doesn't like inhibit his articulation as much. So I mean, that is a plus as well, like especially for me, one who animates with these things. Like I think that's a big win. But yeah, you look at that, like you can really have some ridiculous posing here. But you know, I love this figure already. It's got a lot of personality, you know. One thing I will say is I do still wish he had those pointed toes, and I think once we get him on the glider, it's really going to be apparent that that would have been a nice feature, because those always, especially like from the Green Goblin, these older figures, like the pointed toes were what helped the Goblin stick on, or what helped the glider stay on. So I guess we'll see. But this is its own little piece too, which they've done well with the belts, you know, on these figures. But yeah, I quite like this figure. Great first impression, actually. And yeah, really cool cape. I think I've seen this cape a few times now. Maybe once with Brother Voodoo, I think. Yeah, I think that's where I've seen it before. But they do a good job of reusing these pieces and making it work, you know? Oh man, yeah, what a fantastic poser. Look at this. That looks so cool. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I sort of like the theatrical nature of the goblins, you know? They always sort of had that same personality. I think the Hobgoblin, or I think the original Green Goblin's first appearance was like a fake movie set or something that he lures Spider-Man into, and the Hulk is involved, and just like, yeah, just those are so kooky, those original stories. But yeah, this looks great. I always like thinking of him as he's like a sort of a Joker counterpart, you know, for Marvel, like these characters of chaos. Like I think more than anything, like the Green Goblin has like his plans, right? But I like to think of the Hobgoblin as more this, yeah, this entity of just pure chaos within them. The Spider-Man mythos, you know, and maybe like Carnage is like the ultimate version of that, but like I like this particular character because he's not as, you know, like psychopathic, I guess, as you get from Carnage. But this glider is very sharp, very cool. It's got little bolt pieces here, which make it look a little bit more real too. And then on the bottom here, you can see where his little boosters would come from too. So it's a very nice piece, and you know, they colored the eyes red on there, which that's quite nice. Yeah, so just as I expected, it is a little bit difficult for this glider to stay on, which, yeah, it's definitely frustrating. Like these are like the Bucky Cap boots that came from way back, and yeah, I've always found the feet themselves to be a little bit small on these molds, but I mean, he still looks cool on it, I think. And I think the play factor, like if you're a kid, like this is just gonna fly right off if you're running around the room with it trying to chase Spider-Man. But as just someone who poses them on the shelf, like for the most part, like you'll be all right with it. But yeah, I don't know why they didn't want to, like I get the scaling, you know, if you wanted to be more animated series accurate, getting rid of that, but like what's up with the feet? Like I think that's still gonna get me, you know. But for the most part, it looks cool. Like sculpt wise, it looks cool. It looks like it makes sense. It's just functionally is what I really have a problem with it, because I don't mind the look without it as much, but it's just, I wonder why they didn't bother with that, you know. Maybe this was easier. But he holds that little pumpkin thing really well with both hands, so it's because of the way the plastic that they make those hands out of is like really nice and pliable, you know. The trigger fingers, if anyone's had those, like it's whatever they've been doing or whatever they use to make it is a great plastic. And here is the quick comparison of the two goblins that plague Peter Parker's life. Yeah, I mean, they're great colors, like they're very vibrant, which I love that. I love the classic bright colors for these figures. It's what I kind of focus on when I'm collecting, is making sure that they have that old school color. Yeah, you can see kind of the main differences in some of the parts reuses here. Obviously the body is the same. I think the hands are the same, and maybe the bag. Yeah, the bag is also the same, just different colors. But a lot of new parts though for this figure, but also, yeah, like I said, some reuses from even older figures. You know, you can see this is the foot right here. That would have been probably a better use. Yeah, I love this Green Goblin figure. My one gripe with it is that I wish it had like a smaller pupil. I think a lot of people have said that, and I've seen some customizers just, you know, do a quick little adjust to that, and maybe I'll do that one day for mine, because these eyes do look like he's on some kind of, you know, some kind of psychoactive. So it'd be cool to see him with those tiny little dot eyes, because I feel like that's what makes him look even more freaky and menacing. My next Spider-Man like feature is probably going to be surrounding the Green Goblin, but if there's some way I can work in this new Hobgoblin, I will. You know, I think it'd be cool. So yeah, just stay tuned. We'll see where that goes. And last but not least, I'd like to think of this as the main event. We have Symbiote Spider-Man. So cool. And so, like, this is the second Spider-Man figure I've gotten that has this particular body type. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great mold. I know they just released a Daredevil figure on this mold, and yeah, it's definitely the next character I think that would suit this is definitely Daredevil, because you want to have that posability. And it's an amazing mold, so I'm hoping that they'll get lots and lots of use out of it for all the posable figures that need it. But yeah, this is a great version of the black suit. I like the smaller eyes, like compared to, I mean, the box art even shows it with larger, but even that older one, that older black suit Spider-Man that came out on that, which was a great mold, but it's a little outdated compared to this now. But that had a nice head sculpt but it had way bigger eyes. But I kind of like the subtler eyes like this. This really makes me think of the cartoon, which is obviously what they were going for. And I know they just released a animated deco version. It's like a 2-pack with him and Carnage, and it has like all that blue cell shading on it, which I'm not as particularly interested in those cell shaded figures. You know, they're kind of their own thing. I think if I was very specific about what I was collecting, I would probably just collect the cel-shaded figures until they had all of them out, but that would be a long wait, and I don't know if we have that kind of time with the Marvel Legends series. We'll see how long they can keep up this great a figure, but no, this is really awesome. And yeah, let's just pop over. Actually, first we'll just read what it has on the back here. Spider-Man gets an all-new look when he finds a sleek black costume in a space shuttle wreck. Little does Spidey realize he's joined himself to the predatory alien symbiote, Venom. Well, that's a little bit of a retcon, because from what I understand, he got the suit from Battle World in the Secret Wars, which, if anybody's been listening to the channel for a while, you know that is kind of my end game plan for my stop motion series, for at least the Marvel Legends, is to do a big Secret Wars event. And that's where this is going to be very crucial to it, because that's where the costume originally appears. So let's crack this fellow open. Start at the bottom and pop it open. Down. Okay, there we go. That works really well. That works. And now we will get through the painful part very quickly. Here we go. Oh man, that was very painful. Okay. So we'll just set that back there for now. And we shall handle the new Spider-Man figure. Nice and stiff, but not too stiff. Yeah, it doesn't look like we got any stuck joints, which that's always a problem when you get a figure with some stuck joints. You know, it tends to be the ankle I find on a lot of figures that gets really scary trying to, yeah, that looks fine. But yeah, this figure is great right out of the package. Of course, You know, wouldn't expect anything less from Hasbro team for this particular costume. But yeah, I mean, I love this body mold. I got a lot of use out of that previous Spider-Man or the original release. And I know they've been putting out lots of versions on this body mold, and I hope they just keep it up because it's really cool. This looks amazing. It's very menacing. Yeah, I mean, this is an amazing figure. What was I gonna say? Oh man, it actually looks like my particular figure has a couple weird things on its head. Some defects. Yeah, you guys can kind of catch it in the light there. It looks almost like stab marks or something. I don't know. That's kind of a bummer, but you work with it. You got, you know, I've got some figures with some weird little flecks on their paint, or, you know, I got a Wolverine with like a punch in his head. It looks like a big little staple mark or something. I don't know, but whatever. Just deal with it. It's a great figure, so I can't really complain too much about some of these little things that, you know, factory defects. But yeah, I remember getting this figure off of Marketplace here in Vancouver. There's a pretty good community of action figure collectors here, and you can find stuff that normally is difficult to find. Like, I never saw this figure in store, but I was lucky to get somebody in town who was able to give me a decent price for it. Yeah, I remember doing the transaction at a gas station while I was filling up, and this guy just like yelled at me like, don't be doing that here, filling up gas. And it was like busy and stuff, but it's like, man, you know, this is my pit stop, okay? Just let me have my pit stop, and I want to do what I want. You know, I'm gonna go in, get a snack, grab some gas. You know, I don't want to be harassed. People go crazy, you know, when it comes to driving in cars and stuff. But I just want to collect some figures, you know. Anyways, yeah, it's nice that they complete the paint here underneath the shoulder blades. I know back in the day they would get a little lazy on that, but, you know, they get yelled at enough for it. They eventually fix it, which is nice. Yeah, this is great. Let's see some of these other hands, and we'll do some posing. Oh man, it's so easy to get him into this sort of famous pose, you know, like that amazing Secret Wars cover where he's like wearing the costume for the first time and he's just kind of marveling at himself. But yeah, they knew what they were doing with this figure, obviously. Like, this looks very, very cool, very accurate. Whoa! And it's so cool that he comes with the flipping hands too, because in a way you're sort of getting two figures for the price of one, because, or two costumes, because obviously when he's in his symbiote suit, he doesn't need to use the flipping pose because it just shoots out of his, like the top of his fist, right? I think that's how it does for Venom as well. But there's a point in his history where he just makes the black costume out of cloth, and I think it's kind of just like I don't know, just like another emo, you know, section of Spider-Man's history where everything's going really, really bad, like worse than normal, and so he's got to wear black again. And I think it was when he was on the run too during the Civil War stuff. So I think that was part of it. You know, if you're wearing black, like, it's a little bit harder to see you, especially when he's roaming around at night. So I kind of get it, but at the same time, it was like, obviously it's just they wanted him in the costume again. And I mean, I'm not going to complain about it because it looks really, really cool. But yeah, if you want to do some Kraven Last Hunt stuff too, this also works, because I think that was also a time when he puts on the cloth version of this costume. Here we have him with our two other figures that we've unboxed today. Yeah, it definitely stacks it nicely with them. I mean, the height is probably perfect. I like that, you know, Flint Marco here, or whatever his name is. I feel like it was a different name on the box. I don't know. That was a little confusing, but he is nice. You know, a couple inches taller than him, which is cool. I know I got Goblin here in a sort of a spread pose, but I think he even actually has a little bit of height on him too. Good villains to pair up against. You know, I don't know, this era of Spider-Man, if he would actually be fighting these guys. But yeah. Man, this is not an easy pose to pull off, but hey, it actually works out. And, you know, I figured I had to try it, and it looks really cool. His hand pops in there pretty easily, like the wrist actually fits perfect, so they obviously knew this is the kind of thing that people would be doing. But yeah, I love this. There's so much playability with this Sandman, and I think they did a good job. And versing Spider-Man here, this is definitely a good matchup. I think out of all of Spider-Man's villains, like Sandman definitely has the best chance to actually kill Spider-Man, but I just don't think he's brutal enough to do something like that. I mean, if any of you guys ever read Marvel Zombies, there's some pretty horrific scene in like the last like Marvel Zombies 5 that they did where um, like Sandman basically like fills up inside of Spider-Man and like blows out of his gut, which is like terrifying and really kind of fucked me up as a kid when I first read that. Uh, but if you guys are interested in getting scarred for life, go check out the Marvel Zombies series because it's a really good series where you get to see all your favorite heroic characters doing horrific things. But yeah, man, great figures. Yeah, I really think that this Hobgoblin figure is not it's not as bad. I gave it a lot of criticism on when I first got it out of the package, but I think that once you get it on a stand and you kind of position the glider in a certain way, it does look really really cool. And yeah, with the Spider-Man here, like I don't know, this is just a great set. Like I said, I like doing these combination sort of unboxings and just being able to mix and match them all together at the very end of the video is pretty much my favorite part. Um, but yeah, so let me know in the comments what you guys think of these figures, and we can kind of discuss a little bit more.
Alrighty, and here is the final comparison I'm going to do in the video. It's the Black Suit Spider-Man with the original OG Spider-Man. And damn, do these look really cool together. They make good yin and yang kind of things to have. I mean, if you're going to have any Spider-Man figures, you're going to want to have at least these two costumes together. That way you got a backup Spider-Man in case one of them busts. I know a lot of people do collect multiple versions of these same toys, so in the event of that happening. But for me, that budget isn't there. I'm just going to get one version of each and be pretty satisfied. But anyways, like the video, share. If you do, share it with your friends. Let them check out this Spider-Man stuff. And I hope you guys enjoyed those little animated shorts. Got lots more in the works, so stay tuned.